Hello. Hello. Welcome or welcome back. You've landed on Knit LA. This is a podcast where I wax poetic about all things related to yarn, wool, fiber arts, of course, knitting, crochet, etc. This past weekend, I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of going to Rhinebeck, New York for the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, which is huge. I mean, this was only my second year, and it was incredibly well attended, and also it's just a source of tons of inspiration. It's a chance to really feel all the goods, an opportunity to meet people and meet the sheep, which might be one of my favorite parts, actually. Gorgeous, gorgeous sheep. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Andrea, if this is your first time here. If it's not, welcome back. Good to see and be with all of you. I'm sort of imagining that I'm in a living room and we're all knitting together and it's cozy. My dog just growled. Anyway, yeah, so I went to Rhinebeck. Not only did I go to Rhinebeck, but I also had the amazing joy of attending one of the satellite festivals, a small festival called Cakepolooza. That was on Friday, and that takes place in Saugerties, New York. And first of all, the town of Saugerties is like, at least on that particular weekend, was sort of a knitter's utopia. Every little cafe, every restaurant that we looked in, because we were looking for lunch and a place to eat, everywhere was just filled with knitters. Knitters at tables, knitters knitting, knitters eating and knitting. And it was just like glorious. I'm like, this is heaven on earth. This is like, this is amazing. It's such a special vibe when you're with your people. Your people in such a passionate, deep way. It's just totally, totally cool. And I did get a taste of that at Flock Festival, which happened in August in Seattle. And it's really made me like want to go and have these experiences as much as I possibly can, because there's so much joy in connecting with people. That's really what this weekend was about for me. I really got to interact and meet and hug so many people that I have relationships with here on, the wild internet, YouTube and Instagram, and all of these connections that, feel so amazing through text. And then when you actually meet the person and it feels just as good, of course better because you're in the flesh, it's very affirming. And I just believe wholeheartedly that this community is extremely special. Anyway, yeah, you might want to grab some knitting. You might want to grab coffee or something to drink, because I feel like I'm going to be more chatty than usual, but I am going to show you the goodies that I got to bring home. And there's nothing like buying yarn in person. If you are the luckiest of lucky people to live near local yarn shops, farms, whatever, then you know the experience on a daily basis. It's not that maybe so special, but for me, coming from Los Angeles, there's so few yarn shops. Like, they just did not survive COVID, or even just the I think it's like the online marketplace of yarn. So I was so happy to buy this stuff in person and touch it and feel it. And what I'm gonna go chronologically. So we arrived Thursday, the weather is glorious, the trees, the highway driving up is like a blanket, a quilted, luscious blanket of reds and golds and browns and greens. And it's so picturesque. It's like the postcard of, you know, the Northeast. It's just incredible. And already being in that environment is like super uplifting. I traveled with my mom again this year, and one of my sisters, my youngest sister, came on the trip. And I kind of think by the end of Saturday, she had a little like, maybe I should learn how to knit. So that's super exciting for me. I need another family member to join the club. So Friday, we had tickets to go to Cakepolooza, and we had sort of an afternoon slot. And so we got there a little bit early, so we were walking around Socrates looking for a place to have lunch, which was a challenge, but a beautiful challenge. The crows. So we grabbed some lunch, and then we walked over to, is it called A Perfect Blend or The Perfect Blend? The Perfect Blend yarn and tea shop. And it was bustling, to say the least. I mean, it was packed. They were having, I think, a couple of trunk shows, and the one that really pulled me in was Jess from Ginger Twist Studio. She is a Scottish yarn purveyor and hand dyer, and possibly even pattern designer. I'm not sure. But I have known about her wool, well, from Instagram, of course, but also because whenever I would watch Amy Palco's podcast, she often uses Jess's yarn, Ginger Twist yarn, as it is her local yarn shop. I mean, God, that's so lucky. So that was really exciting. I saw her fiery red hair, and I was so excited to go in. And again, there were so many people there. And what happened? I met Jess, introduced myself, and gave her a nice hug. She looked amazing in what she was wearing, and she's just so kind, and her yarn is spectacular. So she had this wall of, I think this was the 4-ply that I was looking at, and this color just drew me in, and I feel like there was only one of them because I only got one, but I'll show it to you now. The lighting isn't the best today. It's been really hard for me to decide if I was going to film today because the light keeps going from cloudy to bright. Anyway, this, I don't know if you're able to see this color. I'll bring it back here maybe a little, but it's called Muddy Sunshine, and it is on her Masham Mayhem 4-ply base. And it's plump and yummy squish. And I thought this color, like, I love this. I love this little like hint of yellow. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, you gotta take my word for it if you can't see it, that it's actually so gorgeous, and Muddy Sunshine is a perfect name for this wool. So I got this there, and I was super happy to have met her in person. And I met these podcasters that I actually didn't know, but a lot of people were kind of swirling around them, and I was kind of right there. So that was really fun. I got a photograph with all of them and Jess, and got to meet them. Their names are, I'm saying this and everybody, all of you probably know who they are. Kevin and Ray from needles at the ready. Anyway, they were lovely, so sweet, and I'm definitely gonna start watching their podcast. So that was my first purchase, along with this stunning honker. Okay guys, this is like the most delicious alpaca. This is perfect blend, must have like a connection with someone. It just says the perfect blend, and it's undyed alpaca, 100% alpaca from Peru, 660 yards. It is, oh, yeah, it's good. It's super soft. Now I have a little bit of a fear of knitting garments with alpaca. Anything with alpaca, because you know it like has a tendency to stretch out. But I had this feeling that if I put it with a kind of woollier wool, this is like a fingering weight, I'm pretty sure. And if I paired it with a woolly wool, then it could be really good. And if you watched my video prior to going to Rhinebeck, then you know that I was really keen on finding some wool for the Obsidian sweater by Tanya BARLEY. Everything I talk about, by the way, I will link below. If you didn't see my last video, I invite you to head over, but I will also leave a link so you have some context. Yeah, so I thought this with something. And I actually called her when I got home because I had only bought this one skein, and I actually think I would need another skein. So she was so sweet. And yeah, anyway, it's ridiculously soft. So those things I got at the shop there, and there were just so many people, but you know, it was like such a good feeling. And you know, everyone was really patient, everyone was really cool, stepping out of the way for people. So you know, it didn't have like a harried, like crazed feeling. I mean, I was not a shopkeeper, so I wasn't like, you know, responsible for the space. I don't know, that might have been a different story, but it was really lovely. So that was our first stop in Saugerties. Next, we went over and we had our time tickets for the afternoon for Cakepolooza, which is a small festival that is put on by Alyssa at cakwool. And I had never seen her wool in person. Of course, I know about her wool because, you know, she's kind of got a pretty intense following. But I was really excited to go, and it was a smaller, kind of curated festival. I was really interested in seeing some of the vendors there, namely Chelsea Yarn, because I'm also kind of blown away by her yarn. And I ordered an advent, which I told myself I was not ordering an advent, but I did order an advent from her. So I really wanted to head to her booth to check out her yarn. I mean, there were so many amazing. Botanical Yarn was there. Yarn Birds, which is a truck that I didn't get to go in. Clinton Cashmere. Anyway, you get the point. There's lots of smaller indie dyers that, you know, I just don't have the ability to see or connect to the makers in person. So the first thing when we walked in was really cool because I met Caitlin Turowski of Wanderlust Knitter. She is a designer, and she was wearing the cutest vest. I think it's called the Smithfield. She had just released that pattern, and it's a really adorable, like top, cabled top. And she was wearing it with no ease, and she looked adorable. Anyway, I got to meet her. So we said hello, introduced ourselves. That was really amazing. She knitted in lamb and kid wool, which in a particular colorway that I just think is spectacular, called Dial Tone. Anyway, she was so sweet. It was great to meet her. That was like our first step into Cakepolooza. And then because I really wanted to see Chelsea yarn, I decided my mom and I would just sort of beelined for her booth. And her yarn was totally amazing. And it blew me away. Her color sense and her like just sort of putting together these like really muddy earthy tones with like a splotch of like bright yellow or bright pink. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So that was actually very fun. I didn't wind up buying anything because there was just a lot of people, and you know, I figured I'm getting this Advent, so you know, to be somewhat restrained here. But it was great to feel everything. The boucle she has is insane. They were selling these really cute kits for a shrug, I guess, shawl, poncho for a little poncho that was designed in their wool, and it was very cute, like zigzag pattern. Anyway, everyone there was super sweet. Everyone was super excited. I mean, there was just like a lot of good energy. And across from her booth I spotted this bag, which actually I'm gonna have to dump everything out of. I spotted this bag like hanging in the back, and I just was like, oh, let's go in there. And it wasn't this exact bag, but it was this bag in a different fabric. So, God, it's really gray. This adorable bag is from Tanny Casey, and I knew of her because of her relationship with Forever Yarn, Doylestown. I know she does a lot of, I don't know, knitting with them or something. I'm not quite sure of their relationship, but anyway, she is a bag maker, and my mother bought this for me as like a souvenir treat. Isn't that sweet? I adore it. Not only is it just like the cutest fabric, but it's huge and it's so well made. It's so beautiful on the inside. It's like a heavy burlap on the inside, a few great sized pockets. Here's her card, Tanny Casey. She was super sweet. We got to meet her and her husband. And I could feel all the yarn that I bought over the weekend in this bag. So I was kind of like proud of myself, you know, a little bit. Anyway, I love the bag. It's so cute. You should definitely check out her I think she has a website. It's so cute. Okay, so then after I got my little treat from my mom, we walked over to Cakewol. So that was really fun because I got to meet Alyssa, the founder and artist behind Cakewol. And there was a woman in the booth who was wearing this absolutely gorgeous cloud bow sweater. And cloud bow sweater was featured in a pom-pom magazine like maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago in the spring. I'll link the pattern below now because it is on Ravelry, but it's just a very gauzy, just dreamy sort of peplum, got a little ruffle, and it's just a beautiful sort of weightless, very subtle stripes if you like. Anyway, this woman was wearing it. She looked incredible. I asked her, you know, what she made it out of, and she led me over to some yarn called Sweetener, which is from Cakewol, and it took one skein. And this was not like a tiny petite woman. It has, so of course I was like, I need to make a top. I don't know if I need to make the cloud bow, but I need to make a top in this wool. And so I went over and I got this guy. There's all these like background noises, you guys. I live in Los Angeles, okay? So for those of you that are unfamiliar, sometimes there are helicopters, often there are birds, sometimes there are trash trucks. Anyway, that was a screech, but you know, urban life. So back to the yarn. This is the yarn. God, I hope the colors are showing up because they're stunning. Okay. I'm really worried this is not working. Anyway, it's kind of like just an earthy apricot. It looks like a very earthy like color. And the yarn itself is a lace weight, and it's not a typical boucle. It's like very thin and has like these tiny loops. Let me see if I can pick, if anyone can see that. That'd be awesome. Anyway, it's very soft and very sweet, and the fact that I can make an entire top out of this is cool. So I got that at Cake, and then I saw these skeins. Which I hope you can see, because actually they're so gorgeous. These are on her cream base, and this was in a a bin with like one-of-a-kind colors. So this was, and I happened to be talking to her at a certain point, and I already had these in my hand, and she was like, oh, you know, I was complimenting her on the color, because if you can't see, maybe I should take this off and try and do it that way. Anyway, it's almost purpley, lavender, icy, but also with like hits of like this sort of very earthy color. There's some pops of like neon. It's on her cream base, which is a silk mohair base. Anyway, the nice thing about this is that I really got to talk to Alyssa about, and she was really saying, oh, these were just skeins that I was playing. I was just totally playing, and you know, anyway, it was fun to talk to her a little bit about her process. And you know, while she was playing, I was like, you know, I think this should be a keeper, because it is just so gorgeous. And I've noticed, like, I've been buying these sort of like, also from Flock. I bought some very like mauvey purpley things, and I'm like, I don't have this color necessarily, you know, I don't wear this color, it's not like a color, but I gotta say I'm really drawn to it. And so I think next year I'll be making something that includes these colors, because they're really gorgeous. And knowing that it's one of a kind is kind of special too. Like, these were just really playful results of her work. That was so nice. I loved meeting her. I really enjoyed meeting her. So after that, oh my God, I had a real starstruck moment. After that, we went one booth down, which was Knit Collage, and lo and behold, right there were Jody and Tracy of the Grocery Girls. You guys, like, there are knitting celebrities, am I right? Of course there are. So, like, my eyeballs were like boing boing. I was super starstruck. They were right there. So I said hello. I gave them big hugs. They were so sweet. We took photographs. They were trying on gorgeous sweaters from Knit Collage. I know that Knit Collage is running a knit along right now, and they had a lot of samples, and they were just like encouraging everyone to try them on. It was super jolly in that booth. But that was like dreamy. That was so dreamy. I love them. I just adore them. I mean, so do like all of you probably, but yeah, I love them. I think the fact that they're sisters and they have this hobby in common, and they're very different in lots of ways, but they have such an incredible connection, and that really, really comes through on the podcast, and you know, came through for sure this weekend. I saw them a few times, but Cake was the first time. Cakepolooza was the first time I saw them, and it was really special. And I took some photos, and I took a lot of photos. I actually created a highlight reel because I recognized that like actually stories go away and like maybe I want to keep these all together. So I did create a reel. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can go through those photographs, and it kind of documents. Thankfully, my sister was like so amazing. She took all kinds of photographs for me that I otherwise would not have had, because I was so just like in it. And I find that happens to me a lot. Like I forget to take the pictures, and then I'm like, oh man, I wish I got a picture. Anyway, thank you. She's not watching, but she did. That was really amazing that she did that. So that was kind of our cake experience. I'm trying to think. I mean, there were so many amazing vendors. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. Excusez-moi. Actually, I'll back up a little because we also stopped by a booth whose yarn I had not heard of, but I kind of stopped in my tracks because the woman was wearing this like stunning gold mohair sweater that was like just absolutely so beautiful. And I don't know her name, but her company, her yarn, I believe is called BOBOLEROS. And I think she even has a podcast she mentioned. So I'll have to check that out. But she actually, I saw her sweater, and then she had these like incredible necklaces that were like these big, chunky, sparkly, like emerald cuts, emerald color, gold, like taupe, beautiful necklaces that were all kind of layered together. And my mom tried one on. We didn't get one, but they were really gorgeous. And I didn't really get a chance to look at her yarn so much, but her sweater blew me away. And apparently it is a pattern in progress. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And then the last thing I got at Cake is this adorable skein. This is actually like a sock set from Botanical Yarn. So I hope you can see it. It's just so hard to know what you guys are able to see. But it is the most precious, precious set. It has this gorgeous sock base that has these little noops that are all like neon, and apparently they glow in the dark, which is like so much fun. I'm gonna haunt my children in the night. Oh, my hair's all over it. And then what I love about Botanical Yarn is she'll have this like whack-a-doodle neon like amazingness, and then she'll pair it with like these very kind of like chill, like this totally chill, like dark mustard, ground mustard color, and this like deep raspberry color. And anyway, I just thought this was just so cool. And I like her a lot. I saw her stuff at Flock as well, but I didn't buy anything at that point. But and also it came with this like little mushroom. Can you guys see that? It's like the cutest stitch marker. I'm a sucker for stitch markers. Anyway, I'm very excited to knit this up into some socks or a shawlette maybe, but I think socks. They're the glow in the dark. Might just want to have them be socks. She's so sweet. The women that were there with her were incredibly, just so much fun. They actually had a beautiful shawl that I need to figure out what it was, but I mean, it was very pretty. Just a couple colors, and it had like this really pretty scalloped edge. And I need to figure out what that shawl was. But they had lots of really beautiful samples made up in their yarn, and their yarn is so much fun and filled with joy. Really nice. so that was our Friday. We were gonna go out to dinner. So we had plans to go out to dinner, but it was in Kingston. It was like an hour away. We were staying in Salt Point, and we were kind of like wiped out. So we actually just scrapped those plans and decided to go into town and go to the local pub, which was basically the only place open until 9. So I think we were like there at like 8, and just very much hanging with the locals, which was so fun, except for the fact that the game was on. The Dodgers-Mets game was on. And of course, we are rooting for the Dodgers to go to the World Series. But we can't really root for the Dodgers in this bar because everyone else is rooting for the Mets. So, you know, we had to kind of zip it. But it was still really fun. You know, we had burgers and fries, which is also so much fun. I had a local beer. Anyway, it was just fun. You know what? When you're together, this was such a special trip with my mom and my sister. And it's just like, it kind of doesn't matter where you're eating, or those things you think they matter, but they don't actually really matter in the moment, because you're just having a good time. And, you know, it's just so special to be able to travel with my 82-year-old mother, who is just full of life. And, you know, God, I'm so lucky. We're so lucky. Anyway, so Saturday we really chilled out too. We got to eat at this very local cafe called Genie Bean and Family. We met Genie. It's like a family-run business. You literally go, it's like in this beautiful, like converted old house, and there's tons of antiques, and they sell tea and stuff, and you just like go and you're like, I'll have 2 eggs over easy and rye toast. And it's like your grandmother's cooking for you. Anyway, it was super delicious, super cozy, and we really took our time. We didn't get to Rhinebeck until like close to noon, and it was amazing. Just amazing. There's so many people, so many sweaters, because the weather was just unreal. It was such crispy blue skies. It was getting warmer and warmer as like the afternoon progressed. I was a little worried because I was in my Nordstrand sweater and I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to stay in it, but I was. It actually was like perfect. Yeah, it's just like a sea of inspiration. You're just like, oh my God, I love this sweater. Oh my God, that's so gorgeous. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's what I was like. It was just like, you know, basically a kid in a candy store. So, so we had a blast. The first stop on my list and my mom's list was Anne Hansen's booth, Bare Naked Wools. I've talked about her wool a lot on this podcast, but she is one of my favorite purveyors of local wool. Her wool is just so special. And, you know, it's so carefully sourced, and her blends are just incredible. So I knew that I wanted to buy more of this Better Breakfast fingering. This is natural wool. So it's a blend of, I think, what is it a blend of? I'll check in a second. But look at this like deliciously dark color. This is the colorway Americano, aptly named. And it is 55% merino, 35% de-haired alpaca, and 10% nylon. And it's just squishy as squishy can be. And I definitely had my eye on this for the Obsidian sweater. So I got a sweater's quantity of this deliciousness. This is a serious contender. I even had this thought, like, what if I put this like charcoal with this like yummy brown? That would probably make kind of a cool fabric. anyway, it's more alpaca. I don't know. Well, I'll have to swatch, of course, but anyway, if you have the opportunity to see her yarn in person, I just cannot, I'm an enthusiast, that is for sure. And she is lovely. She also makes some beautiful patterns. She was a pattern designer before she was a wool purveyor, and her patterns are so much a part of my knitting journey. Again, if you've been here before, you know that I've talked a lot about the early parts of my knitting life were making these incredibly beautiful lace shawls that Anne Hansen designed, and she still designs and, you know, makes these gorgeous things. I really moved on to like sweaters and things and not so much lace anymore, but I have a lot of them. It also connects me to my mother and my aunt. Low flying plane. One second. Helicopter. That's also just like the sound of Los Angeles, helicopters. Well, yeah, in the urban neighborhoods. I also got this color in the Better Breakfast. And this color is called Milk and Honey. Isn't that beautiful? So if you remember, last year I also came back with some Better Breakfast that was in kind of a more, a slightly different color, like a little bit warmer, a little touch more caramel or camel color. And that colorway, it's not a colorway, it's a blend. So that blend is called waffle or hot waffle. Maybe just waffle. Anyway, this colorway is Milk and Honey, and it is very aptly named. So this was also a possibility for Obsidian. Like, I had this wild idea about doing like a neutral like this with like a hunter orange. I think I would regret that. Anyway, I don't know. You know, I love the original. The original is like a beautiful dark wool with a white or cream color work. And because the color work is so intricate and is all over the place, it works really well for that. And I want the color work to be really crisp. So I know that I need, yeah, I need some really crisp fabric. I did actually also find something. So basically after we visited Anne's booth, I did meet an amazing viewer. And if you're watching, thank you so much for saying hello. You were buying a gorgeous skein of Kent worsted, and I hope that you'll keep me up to date on how that hat came out, because the wool looked amazing. And I have never worked with that wool, so I would like to know your experience. That was another thing, like again, it's like the people and the people that said hello to me, I just, you know, it's just like makes me feel so good. I love connecting with everybody. It's just everything. It's everything. And I feel like that's a little bit more where my focus was this time. It wasn't so much about like buying the goods. I mean, this was really what I went for. Bare naked wools. And I really got to interact with some just genuine, just wonderful people. So, yeah. I also, when I actually, so we went through all the barns, you know, there's so many incredible makers. I have a couple regrets because I would have liked to buy something from, is it Junction Mill? Junction Mill Fibers had an amazing festival yarn, and Harrisville Yarns had a new base called Sheer, and they were also like, had these incredible bags if you bought a sweater quantity. But you know what? I don't know. I was happy to look at everything. That was like really satisfying enough. And so, you know, there's just like tons and tons of vendors and tons of farms that bring their yarn, and that's like just so extra. So actually, like, and then there's the sheep. Oh my God, how could I forget the sheep? There's like the gorgeous sheep. So that's another very special part. And my sister, you know, has never seen a sheep being shorn. Why would she? And, you know, it's just beautiful to walk through these barns and like learn about the breeds and have just a deeper understanding, you know, of the breed specific. I'm telling you, people, I don't know how you go to Rhinebeck sheep and wool and not want to like just like ditch it all, buy a little land and put a sheep on it, and then that's it. Like, just like, let's go. Let's just do this. Let's just garden. Let's just live outside. I mean, God, I don't know. It's just a whole nother way of life. And I do appreciate that so much when I'm visiting these places. And I feel this way when I visit Washington, you know, also. It's just like being in the trees, you know, it's so stressful right now. I know everybody feels so stressed. It doesn't matter who you are. In this country, it is such a stressful time. And, you know, I'm raising teenagers that are also stressed out for the same reason. And, you know, I work very hard to get myself out into the trees every day so I can have a little perspective. But that's what happens to me when I go on these trips and when I'm in sort of out in the wilderness and in these natural settings, is it like really, really helps shift my mindset. And my thinking is so much less narrow and fearful, and it just like opens up, and I just realize, oh my God, these trees have been here for hundreds of years. Oh my God, nature, it just keeps rebirthing itself over and over and over again. And so I think about that a lot. And I really try and absorb that into my own thinking and my own everyday life, because especially in this time, because I just think it's a really scary time. Our whole way of living is sort of on the precipice, I think. So, okay, that was really heavy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so heavy. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So I also got to connect with the most amazingly wonderful humans. So I got to see Kristen of Cozy Made Things on Instagram. And if you don't follow her, you should, because she is a very beautiful, beautiful knitter. And she also writes very thoughtful, meaningful posts. And that in combination with her gorgeous makes, you know, it's really special. And I really felt like a kinship with her. And so we kind of started connecting online, and, you know, we met in person for the first time, and it was just like hugs, all hugs and smiles. And it just felt like the real deal, you know? I saw Jackie and Carmen of Knitting a Good Yarn podcast. They're amazing. I had met them before last year, but very briefly. And this year we got to really hug and talk and, you know, maybe plan a little project together. Jackie and I might make a sweater together. you know, just like all the good stuff. She was wearing such a beautiful sweater. Carmen was wearing like a mind-blowing sweater that I think she said she knit in 3 days, and it was just so beautiful. What else? Okay, let's just talk about the sea of framed sweaters. First of all, you couldn't go anywhere in that entire fairgrounds without like seeing a framed sweater. And I just thought, Andrea Mowry, of course she's a very popular designer, but like this must just make her heart burst. I don't know how she can handle it. It's like this design, which didn't speak to me necessarily, but the fact that it did speak to so many people, and it was a pattern with which people's individuality could really come through because they were all completely different. And I think that was amazing. And then they collect on the hill, which I figured out what the hill is. I didn't know what the hill was last year. It was raining, so I don't know. Anyway, the hill is amazing because that is really where all the designers and makers and podcasters and, you know, people are. It's just burgeoning with like energy, and Andrea Mowry has a photograph every, you know, year since she has been designing a Rhinebeck sweater. And so just, I don't know if you can picture, if you weren't there, hundreds of people in the same design sweater, but each of them completely different. So it's really like this like huge array of personality. Anyway, I just couldn't get over it. And she looked so happy. Candace was there of the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and that was super special too for me because I got to say hi to her and give her a hug. I wanted her to see the finished product of the sweater because that sweater, the Nordstrom sweater, was made with all of her wool, the spinster's daughter worsted that she dyed in this luscious, luscious color, evergreen, and combined with the Odang, which I used for color work. Odang DK, which is the softest mother beep yarn ever. So that was super special to see her. I mean, I don't know, there were so many people. Like, it's hard for me to recount all the people that I was able to say hello to, and it was super special. And also just for my mom who was like, and she has been to Rhinebeck before, but the days that she and my aunt used to go to Rhinebeck, she said it was just tiny. It was like a barn, a single barn. And, you know, she said it's just like wild to see how many young people are knitting and just how many people are in the fiber arts world and connecting in this way. So that was really nice too. My last purchase was from a little, well, I guess it wasn't that little, but it was the last barn that we explored, and it was a big barn, and it had like amazing vendors. It had like Sawkill Farms, it had Green Mountain Spinnery, I think. It had Feederbrook Farms, possibly. Yeah, anyway, all these like kind of big farmy yarn places that I am familiar with, and that was really fun. And as we were leaving, there was a booth that was hosted by Avalon Spring Farm. And they had this huge wall of beautiful colors. And again, the light looks really, really bad. I don't know. I'm really hoping that this is gonna work out. Anyway, this is their Pendragon yarn, and it is they describe it as small batch, hand dyed, 555 yards of skein for 4 ounces. This one is called Swan Feathers. And I'm not sure if you can see this, but there are, it's kind of like a parchment base color on the base, and then they're all throughout are these like whispers of lavender, just whispers, whispers, whispers of lavender. And so for a minute, I was kind of like, ooh, maybe this for the color work in the obsidian, you know? Maybe just something not plain white, but like a beautiful kind of subtle variegated yarn. Anyway, so I did buy 2 skeins of that, and that was like, you know, the end. That was the end of our day. We were all like pretty pooped out. I felt like, you know, I don't know how I could have enjoyed it anymore. Although I will say next year, I think we're gonna stay through Sunday, because actually Sunday at Rhinebeck, the festival, seems really chill. And that might be nice to experience a little bit more chill vibe. Anyway, but it was amazing. And I feel so fortunate that I was able to attend with my mom, with my sister, see my people, hug my people. It was very, you know, fulfilling in the truest sense of the word. So when I got home, I didn't really knit. I mean, I knit on a hat, but that was kind of it. I didn't bring my MCAL. So that's the thing that I'm working on now. The West Knits Go Dynamo MCAL. I had gotten partially through, I started Clue 2 before I left, and then I didn't bring it with me. And then I came home and I was like obsessed. So I finished Clue 2 and I'm on Clue 3, and I'm actually having the best time. This is a really fun shawl to knit. I don't know how I should hold this up, but I will hold it up, I guess. It's not in the order necessarily of how you knit it, but it is in the order of how the shawl appears. Is it? Yes, yes it is. So it's quite large already. So Clue 2 was this brioche section, which I did a pretty good job. I kind of fudged it up in certain places, but you know what? I don't care. Because I've never been, like, I've never done brioche, like, fully. So, oh shit. Sorry. Don't want to lose my stitches. Anyway, so I got myself through Clue 2. I'm obsessed with the yarn. The yarn is from Tribes Yarn. And let me show you the 2 colors I chose. They're, anyway, these are the 2 colors. This is Art Yarns Ultra Fine Merino. And this is, I'm not sure who makes it, but she brings it in, and it's a yak silk base, and it's so lustrous, and it's got, you know, depending on how the light hits it, there's some brown in it, there's a lot of gray. It's really beautiful. So those are my 2 base colors that you can see knit up here, sort of towards this early, this was Clue 1. And then Clue 2, you get the brioche, and he does like a mohair dare. Oh my God, what is happening? Sorry. He does a mohair dare, which I fully took. And I did ask in my podcast before I left some opinions, because I had some like varying, I didn't know what to do. And really pretty much everyone said you have to do the Sonder Halo in opera, and that is what I did. This is, and that was the right, that was just, yes, 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 yes. Totally, totally the way to go. It's beautiful. It's like a really soft, kind of antique rose color. I don't even know if these colors are coming through, but maybe it'll come through when it's knit. So this is it right here, this in this brioche section. And I did it here for the brioche as well, but it just doesn't show that much, so I kind of flipped it on the second brioche. Anyway, it looks gorgeous with the other colors. And now, okay, so I'm on clue 3 now, which is basically you're just making these little, okay, I guess I need to turn it the other way. So this is the bottom, or you're getting towards the bottom, and you're making these little triangles. So originally the pattern is designed for, like, you know, the same 2 colors, these 2. And you're just alternating throughout these triangles all the way across the bottom of the shawl. And then I believe you pick up once that's done, and there's, you know, you finish the bottom with some like wavy border. But I had seen, who did I see? I saw someone on Instagram. Oh, I know. It's, her Instagram is Barba Knit, and she is, I think she lives in Iceland, and she is actually a very good friend of Stephen West. And she was knitting her shawl, and then all of a sudden she's just like, I'm using scraps for my stripes. And she did like multicolors, like all different colors, and it was so rad. I was like, that is such a great idea. And like, also because knitting with only 2 colors is kinda, you know, it's okay, but you know, I have so much, like, I have so many mini skeins. I have all kinds of like stash yarn. So I started just adding, you know, little bits that I felt like worked, you know, worked. And so I think when it's done, it's gonna have this whole bottom layer of these triangles in all different colors. Like, I'm not even sure how, I'm just sort of going with it. I'm just sort of like, what do I feel like making? What color do I want to throw in there? So it's super fun. And I'm also knitting, like, this is a big shawl. So I'm doing clue 3 with a double point in the same size needle, just because like I was having a really hard time, sort of, it was annoying. It was like heavy. And so since I switched to this, which I've done on other patterns of his, when you're doing like I-cord edging, and anyway, it just makes making these little triangles just a lot faster and easier. Not so much like turning or dealing with the fabric, but I'm excited. I'm really committed. I'm working on this. I'm somewhat monogamous on this knit, because I just want to see it through, and I think it's really pretty, and I feel like if I don't knit on it, I'm like not gonna finish it. So I'm working on this, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm psyched that I'm on clue 3. I have a lot of, oh, this is how I'm carrying it around. So of course I have like tons of yarn, and then like I found this tray in our closet that we weren't using. It's like from IKEA. Shit. That's what I'm using to cart my stuff around, because you should have seen the tables. Like, there was no room for anyone to do their homework. It was like splat, and it was kind of a pain to clean up and all that. So anyway, that is my Go-Go Dynamo, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So I think that's my story here. Yeah. I think that's my Rhinebeck Reflections. Anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all well. And keep knitting. Just knit it, knit it, knit it, make it, share it. Oh, I'm wearing, this is supposed to come at the beginning. So I'm wearing this beautiful cowl called the Geometer cowl that I knit, that I bought all the yarn for at Flock. And this is a pattern by Lotta Lundgren. And she, it's a beautiful just Mobius cowl. You knit it in the round. I showed it as a finished object, I think last time. I love the colors and it feels so good. And you guys, it is cold here. So I'm wearing this. This is a made with this delicious mohair, which I think I want to get more of this mohair. This is Les Garçons mohair and Spin Cycle. Hey, in burnt sugar or brown sugar. I can't remember. And I'm also wearing this, you know, oldie but goodie, the Novice cardigan, possibly, knit with Meep's fluffy yarn from, you know, years ago. And I love it. And it's just such an easy sweater to wear. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Sorry, forgot about that. If you have any questions or, you know, want to chime in, I'd love to know what you people are making. What are you inspired by? How are you doing? If you live in America, no, I don't want to talk politics exactly. I don't want to talk politics, but I do want to know how everyone's doing and how you're managing, how your families are managing. Thank God we have this. Thank God we have this. Like we're able to just like make beautiful things, keep our brain going. Yeah. Anyway, I love you all. It was so good to see you. Those of you that I did get to hug and say hello to, and just more of that, please. All right, take care.